If you ever felt like you haven't found your tribe yet, you haven't found your people yet, you are outgrowing your friendship group or your circle, watch this video. I'm going to explain to you why is this happening and how you can navigate it, how you can operate differently. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how your vision, how your perception is directly shaping your reality and is directly shaping how your reality is unfolding, how literally your life is unfolding for you. The reality itself is very subjective to the lens in which you are viewing the reality through, right? So, for example, if you are looking at life, if you are looking at reality, if you are looking at your circumstances from your point of view, you're gonna see it differently than if someone is looking at your reality and your circumstances from their point of view, right? That's logical, that's natural. We understand that. We have different upbringings, we have different environments that we grew up in, we have different ways of how our mind is operating, how we have been brought up, what conditioning we have, what programming we have, and all of those aspects are going to directly and immediately reflect on our perception of so-called reality. For example, if I wake up today, this morning, and I see my reality, I see myself as stuck, I see myself as not progressing, I see myself as not evolving fast enough, for example, and someone from the outside sees me as someone who has everything together, who knows what they are doing, who know exactly what the next step is, who know how to deal with situations, who knows how to deal with circumstances. So they will be viewing my reality from their subjective point of view, whereas I am viewing my reality from my subjective point of view. That's why it's important to kind of be able to look at the reality with these objective lenses, because we are always seeing what is happening to us and for us in our reality, in our inside. Sometimes it's not even so visible on the outside what is going on in our head, what we are going through. We are seeing the stuff through the lens of what is happening to us. So, for example, someone is going through heartbreak, they will be seeing the reality via the reflection, via the lenses of such. So certain songs are going to remind them of this situation. Certain places are going to remind them of that situation. Certain events are going to remind them of that situation, because their point of view is directly affected what is going on the inside, right? And this is not to say that we should avoid these things, because they are natural parts of our human life as a human beings, but this is just to understand that every single person that you meet in your life or you have in your life going through some sort of situation that they are viewing through their individual, selectively subjective lens. And the same is happening to you, right? And it's always interesting for me to see different point of views and different sections that resonate with different people, and they are directly based on their own experience. For example, some people get triggered by what I say because what they are going through. Some people get inspired by what I say because that's what inspires them in their current situation. Some people get unaffected by what I say because their situation and their subjective lens is currently focused on something completely else than what I'm saying or what I'm sharing. So we have to give this sort of grace, and we have to give this sort of understanding that no matter how much you share with people, no matter how much you try to communicate yourself or express yourself, you will always be met with the subjective lens of that specific human being, right? And in a way that's so beautiful, because we have all these fractures and all these angles and all these different situations, all these different experiences that we get to kind of share with each other, grow with each other, and understand about each other. When it comes to building your dream reality, when it comes to building your vision, when it comes to building your life accordingly how you want it to be, important thing is to understand that not everyone will understand your vision, not everyone should understand your vision, nor everyone can understand your vision. Okay? So we are not here to be digestible. We are not here to be understood by everyone. We are not here to be loved by everyone. We are not here for that. But we are here for a very specific group of people who will resonate with our message at this point in our life. Maybe not later, maybe not before. At this point in our life, they will resonate with what we are going through. So if we are not sharing that, if we are not expressing that, we are kind of ripping people away from what they might receive from us. And that's important. When it comes to growth, when it comes to evolution, when it comes to building your dream reality, you cannot be so much affected by the people around you. You cannot be affected by the things that trigger some people. You cannot be affected so much by what resonates with someone or doesn't resonate with someone, because at the end of the day, it is not up to you to do that, right? Because everyone will come with their specific lens. Everyone will come with their subjective lens. That's the beauty of this life, and that's the diversity of what we are living. Here is another thing that is very important, and that is when you are going through this evolution, when you are changing yourself in a big way, when you are evolving, when you are doing something that other people who are close to you are not used to, and they don't see you in that light, perhaps they will kind of feel threatened by your growth. Because if they are staying the same, if they are not evolving, if they are not expanding their situation, if they are not progressing in life, and on the other side there is you who is doing all this inner work, who is doing all this self-development, who is expanding, enlarging your point of view, then these people are very likely to get triggered, very triggered by that. And I would say to an extent threatened by that. And this comes from the subconscious point of view. It's because we sign up this invisible contracts. When we get to energetic closeness with each other, we sign these invisible contracts which hold this frequency, which hold this energy, in which we agree invisibly, subconsciously we agree how we're gonna interact with each other and what we're gonna agree on, what container we are building invisibly, subconsciously for ourselves. And when you are expanding your consciousness, when you are growing beyond this invisible subconscious box that you set up for yourself, this person or these people are gonna get threatened because you are getting outside of the so-called energetic box, and they will be subconsciously questioning what happened to you, why did you change, what is happening with you, and what's going on. Here's two ways that it can go. Either they get threatened and they get naturally distanced from you, or they will be inspired by what you are doing because they themselves also want to evolve, they want to expand, and they are not threatened by what you are doing. That's the better option. But most likely it's going to be the first option. This is not to blame anyone, this is not to point fingers at anyone, this is a natural human behavior that happens when you are changing yourself as you are growing in your life, and when you are becoming authentic to yourself. You kind of start expressing yourself more and more instead of going along the lines and coming along with the flow and remaining in a situation that perhaps didn't even serve you. So you might cause this in people a lot. And I want to address this because a lot of us that we are doing this inner work, that we are doing something that is very much outside of the box, very much outside of the norm, we face these situations, and not a lot of people talk about that. Not a lot of people are willing to acknowledge that. Not a lot of people are addressing the situation because it can be very painful. Since you are evolving, this is just a natural human way of relating to such. For example, if you've been the kind of friend who always went along with your friends, who are just drinking on the weekends and enjoying and partying, and suddenly you start waking up to the reality, or you start waking up to what you want to do with your life, and you start prioritizing other things other than just having fun and going out with your friends, and suddenly your friends see you in a very different light and you cannot relate to them, or they cannot relate to you, and they think you are thinking about yourself that you are much better than them, but you just have completely different priorities, you have completely different things that you want to do, and your energy is going into different things, and you just don't feel like this is fun for you anymore or similar. And this happens to so many of us, and I think it should be addressed because it is a normal part of this evolution, right? Like, because at some point you will evolve on this journey and you will stop entertaining the behaviors that didn't lead you anywhere, or you will be in the process where you are really much in the expansion, really much in the self-development, you are really much into the learning about yourself, about life, about what you want to do, and it hits you, and your friends perhaps are not there yet, and they will be excluding you from the group because you are not entertaining the same behaviors as you were before. And let me tell you right now, it is very normal. This is happening to a lot of people, and also there is nothing wrong with what they are doing. This is, again, like I'm saying, there is no blame to be put on anyone, but if you are evolving, it's very most likely that you are on different vibration, different frequency right now, and you are naturally interested in different things and different knowledge and different activities than what you were before when you were in the lower frequency. So this is very normal and very expected. So if you are there right now, I don't want you to beat yourself up for it, and I've been through that myself, and I've been for quite some time pretty much on my own because I didn't have people to relate to what I was going through. My friends didn't understand what I was going through, and I didn't want to impose my beliefs or my views on them, so I kind of distanced myself from them. And then naturally people who were more aligned enter my life, and that just happened because this space opened for them. And this is, again, not to say someone is more evolved or less evolved or anything like that. I'm not the one who wants to be on the spiritual horse or anything like that. I'm just saying there are different parts of our evolution, and there are different periods of our life when we resonate with some people and we don't resonate with other people, etc. And it is very normal and very common to kind of grow apart from such experiences and from such relationships. I promise you that will get better, and when you start actually sharing your truth, sharing your points, and not imposing on anyone, but sharing your point of view, sharing your interest, and sharing what you are going through, people who can relate to that, people who are on the same frequency, people who are on the similar journey, similar path, are gonna start finding you, and you're gonna start finding them naturally, because that's what happens. So the point is not to stay in that cocoon forever. I know that it is kind of necessary to be in that cocoon when you are going through the evolution. I've been there myself, and I'm not saying that don't do that, but don't remain there for way too long, so you kind of close yourself for this connection that could find you. And if you open yourself up for this connection, which are gonna find you naturally, I can promise you that, because there is a lot of people going through similar things, and everything that we are going through is not unique. So there is someone who's been through that, there is someone who is going through that, there is someone who is gonna go through that. So all of these things are natural, and if you are vibrating on a certain frequency, if you are upgrading your frequency, you are going to be naturally magnetizing to yourself the people, the opportunities, the places, the things, the environment that are operating on a similar frequency, because this is how the universe works. This is how the law of attraction works, whatever you want to call it. It's gonna happen. Just perhaps if you are now not yet there, if you are now in the process of shedding those things that don't belong to you or don't resonate with you anymore, this is just to give you this perspective that it's gonna get much better when you go through this, when you move through this. On the other side, it's gonna be much, much better. When I was younger, when I was in high school, when I was in university, when I was in my early 20s, I always had this feeling of not belonging. I always had this feeling that I was very much different to other people. I always had this feeling that I didn't fit in the groups or the settings or the environments. And that was because my inner world was reflecting my outside experience. In my inner world, I had a lot of unhealed childhood trauma. I had a lot of wounds. I had a lot of inner beliefs that made me believe that I was different, or I didn't belong to people, or I was excluded. This had to do a lot of with my childhood, and we were moving around, and I always felt like the newbie. I always felt like the new girl. I always felt like I was the outsider, where the group was already built and set, and that's what kind of went with me into my adulthood until I addressed it, until I really address that inner child wounds and the healing of the difference or the being excluded from the group or not belonging. All of this had to do with so many of these wounds of my inner child that once I addressed them, naturally people who resonated with me and I resonated with them started entering my life. And don't let anyone who is not coming on the journey with you stop you from actually embodying yourself, from embodying your authentic self, from speaking your truth. Because if they cannot take it, if they do not resonate with that, then perhaps they are not meant to come with you. And this is not to say something from the egoistic point of view. No, this is just to release them with love and release them with peace and be open for the new possibilities, for the new opportunities, for the new relationships that are opening up for you once you embody your true authentic self, once you are not playing into the roles that you outgrown, and once you stop performing in any sort of way in order to be loved and to be accepted. And let me tell you, this is very natural human behavior. Once again, wanting to be loved, wanting to be valued, wanting to be accepted in the tribe is very natural human behavior, and it is coded literally in our DNA. We have this in our survival instinct that once we are excluded from the tribe, once we are excluded from the group, we might die, because we needed the group back in the day when we were living in the tribes for survival. Okay, and once we get excluded, that literally is threatening and triggering our survival instinct as human beings. It's still very much in our DNA. It's still operating as such. We are living in a modern age, but still this coding, these very, very primal and survival instincts are coming with us from many, many generations before, and many, many hundreds of years before. They are coded in us. So literally today it is in a different dress, let's say. It is in a different clothing, but it is the same fear underneath. So the fear is of being excluded. The fear is being left to die. The fear is being left behind by your tribe and on your own, where you cannot survive. So all of those fears, all of those things that are holding us back might seem very irrational, but underneath, when you dig deep down, they have a very, very rational meaning, and actually they are working as our protection. They are here to protect us from the things that might harm us. The job of the subconscious mind is simple. It is to keep us safe. It is to keep us alive. It is to keep us away from danger. So anything and everything that is coded in your subconscious mind, that is wired in your subconscious mind as perceived danger, is gonna be holding you back. Like your subconscious is literally gonna make sure that you do not proceed. It's gonna make sure that you do not engage yourself in a situation, relationship, or an event, or anything that might threaten your safety. And that's why I'm always repeating, working with the subconscious mind is most important thing if you want to progress, if you want to up level, if you want to change your situation, because most of the time we are acting in the operation of the conscious mind. We are trying to set up new goals, we are trying to do this, all of these goals and desires, but if you are underneath still blocked in your subconscious mind, the subconscious mind is literally gonna proceed to stop you from going for it, to stop you from achieving that, to stop you from doing that, to make you sabotage yourself, to make you procrastinate, and all of these things, which is very, very intelligent mechanics that we have. And that's why when we are working with the subconscious mind, instead of against it, when we understand what it's trying to protect us from, and when we rewire it deep down in the root cause, we can move from there. We can achieve what we want. We can change our reality. We can build our life how we want to be. We can build meaningful relationships. We can literally do all of these things. But we need to be very aware of what is holding us back and how to navigate it, how to operate it, because everything is hidden there. And it is, like I said, very intelligent mechanism that is supposed to keep us in safety. But we know that expansion means stretching ourselves out of the comfort zone. And the same has to do with the nervous system. The nervous system wants to keep us in the safety and in the familiar. So the same situation is going to happen even when it comes to relationships, friendships, and all these things. When your subconscious feels like this is familiar, this is something that you've perhaps grew up with, or this is something that is keeping you safe, is going to keep you in that situation. If you want to evolve, if you want to change that, if you want to upgrade that, then you need to look at where the subconscious mind is trying to protect you from the perceived danger, so you can proceed, so you can operate in the next level, so you can get to the next timeline.